Hey guys, Varuna here. I'm interviewing players competing in the Horus Heresy Legion's World Cup. Why don't you introduce yourself and tell us what region you represent?
I'm Mr. Midnight, and I'm the captain for Team Germany.
How did you get into the game and how long have you been playing for?
I've been playing for something a bit over a year. I got the game recommended on Steam because I got a ton of Warhammer games in my Steam account, and there was this Skulls for the Skull Throne event on Steam, and I just recommended it, downloaded it. I'm a big trading card game fan, so I jumped into it. Yeah.
Tell us about your teammates. How long have you known them?
So my teammates are B-Side and Konstantin Veldor. I know them personally only since the World Cup started. So after the qualifiers, I met them on ladder a couple times, obviously, since we're all somewhere on the leaderboards usually. And I DM'd just B-Side after one game that we should make like a, I don't know, a group chat on Discord for our team, and we went ahead, and yeah.
Tell us about your competitive history. What tournaments have you won?
I played only two tournaments so far, I think. The first tournament was the Reddit beginner tournament. It was like the very first Reddit tournament. So you were only allowed to participate if you have 1,000 legendary points or less, and you weren't allowed to use legendary warlords. And with this one, I won. And the second one was the first. I don't remember exactly what it was called, but you were basically not allowed to use any warlords from the latest meta report. And there I got to round two or three or something. So not much history here, to be honest.
For the World Cup, how is the current round going for you?
It's okay. Could be better. Like we played 5 rounds, and so far I won three and lost two. So could be better. And the fifth round didn't finish yet, but the first 4 rounds we lost two and won two. So yeah, it's okay. I mean, at this high level of play, you can't expect to win every game, but still could be better. Should be enough for the to pass the group stage though.
And how do you feel your team is doing overall?
Well, as a team, we are functioning pretty well. I think we communicate on Discord a lot, and we're having training matches. We're helping each other out with matchups. Like I don't play Perturabo at all. B-side does, so he can help me when I have someone playing Perturabo against me with some tips for what are his weaknesses and so on. So yeah, and we also get to know each other a bit. We have quite a friendly climate there
Yeah.
going on.
What's the biggest lesson you've learned competing so far?
And the biggest lesson I've learned is that you need to stay focused and keep emotions out of your games. Simply because one round it messed up the round for me, simply because I was so. I'm not the calmest person, you need to know. I'm really salty. I'm getting upset really quick when it comes to video games. I'm not that kind of guy who smashes his mouse, but I'm getting like really, you know what I mean. So yeah, some people in Discord know that. Really salty person. So in this tournament, it's important to not get tilted and not get salty and stay focused, keep your cool, and yeah.
What is the reasoning behind the three warlords you chose for the World Cup?
Well, actually, it was desperate defense. Back then, when the World Cup started, desperate defense was a big thing. And I wanted warlords who are kind of versatile and who don't care about that, because with certain warlords, you simply instantly lose against desperate defense. You don't even need to play, and I wanted something which doesn't really care about the ramp or the big front lines, which can either aggro them down before they can do their ramp and early desperate defense shenanigans, or something which simply doesn't care about the big front lines, so unstoppable units, direct damage with tactics, and so on. That was my plan, but yeah. The three original warlords were Escalon, so that's combo deck, and Icona. He got a direct damage, and most units are unstoppable as well. And the Raven Guard also has Inescapable Cell, which is an awesome removal for desperate defense units. And the first one was Rom. It's simply a straightforward aggro warlord who usually manages to beat down the enemy warlord before he can put out the big stuff.
Who is the most difficult opponent you've faced so far?
It's hard to say. I think all of my opponents were very good and skilled players. I obviously lost two of my three matches. It's difficult to rank them. There were Steve, 553, the masterclass lodge leader or whatever. He's well known. He's like every season somewhere on the leaderboards. He was a tough nut. Then Big Pipi, he was a War Master. A Spellbreaker, also a former War Master. Then Raza and Wheeze, I don't know these, but they also gave me a hard time, so I can't say like this one was, I totally lost to this one. I lost to Wheeze like 3-0, but I gotta admit that was what I mentioned earlier because I wasn't able to keep my cool and some bad luck.
Who do you think is going to be the most difficult opponent going forward?
Like, not intimidated, but the matchup I'm not looking forward is Arsenal from France. I meet him in ladder a lot, and he's simply a very good player. I don't know, he always has an out for situations like, I don't know, from ladder, I really lose more than I win against him on ladder. And simply because somehow he still manages to win those games, and I don't know. He's kind of my nemesis, I gotta say.
What do you think of the Crucial Choice and Korn's favor ban? Did you agree or disagree with them, and why?
Korn's favor, definitely, simply because we didn't know when we picked our Warlords that this card will be coming, and it favors certain Warlords more than others, so Warlords who have access to Bloodthirst, Karn, and Custodes, for example. We have a Custodes as well, so Constantine Veldor, he's playing Aemon, but still it pushes certain Warlords to a higher level, and the others don't benefit from it. And yeah, I don't think that's that good since Desperate Defense was banned. People said, oh no, I can't play Fail, I can't play Canis without Desperate Defense. You can, but there was the petition to change your Warlords simply because people didn't want to play those Warlords without Desperate Defense simply because they weren't as competitive as with Desperate Defense. So same thing with Korn's favor. Some Warlords become simply much stronger with Korn's favor. So again, Karn or Custodes. A Crucial Choice is a double-edged sword in my opinion, simply because everyone has access to it and everyone can play it, everyone can get the same card from it. The reasoning behind it still makes sense. So the reasoning was simply that if you get something ridiculous from it, your opponent doesn't know it and he can't play around it. So if you're playing Orphans of War against Orphans of War, for example, you don't play around Crimson Spectral like you do against Blood Angels. Or if you get something like M&F from the Night Lords on I don't know, Icona, you can promo stealth, and that's just almost impossible to win for your opponent then. So yeah, and then if you say, yeah, I won the World Cup simply because I was lucky with my Crucial Choice pull, doesn't sound good. So I wasn't like the promoter of the ban, but I see the reasoning behind it as mentioned.
What are some improvements you'd like to see to the game?
Well, currently, if I look on the top of the ladder, is that there are 10 people, but there are like 3 factions all around who are being played like at a really high top. What I really like to see is, of course, balancing of the game and that they stop adding bullshit like Korn's favor again, because I don't know how much you play right now, but right now there's this bullshit combo with Cypher going on, or Garo, that they simply played Korn's favor on 6 energy, and they simply then OTK you, and that reminds me of Warp Retreat from Ravenguard. I don't know if you remember that. That was also the same. You basically lost when they managed to clear the deck in time. So what I want to see is balance. I know this is difficult with like over 100 Warlords in the game and all these 30 or 40 factions or what we have. But really, it's if you want to compete right now, you need to play like these 3 or 5 factions, which can do well, and you can forget the other 35. And that's just sad because the cool thing about this game is that you have so many options, so much variety.
Do you have any advice for ranked players who are looking to compete in tournaments?
As mentioned, I'm not a big tournament player. I'm more of a ranked player, actually. I'm just going with the flow. The only thing that I would suggest is that you actually pick the warlords who you are confident with, even if they're not like top meta right now. And second of all, if you know your opponent and if you know what they're playing, take in some cards. So if you see some guy playing like me, Orphans of War and Ravenguard in one bracket, you should definitely go for like maybe even more than 2 anti-stealth cards, because Orphans of War and Ravenguard both rely on stealth a lot. So take some cards in and just play what you're confident with, not what you think is super overpowered.
Who's your favorite warlord to play, and who's your least favorite to play against?
My favorite warlord is Icona. I have over 800 games with him. I took him to top 50 several times. playing him for months and he still works. And I really like the hide and seek playstyle and that you need to think turns ahead and so on. And the combos are cool. I don't know. I'm still enjoying him after months. Can't say that about any Warlord. Least favorite. I have a top 3 actually. I'm updating it from time to time. Currently it's Lighthouses, and doesn't matter which one. It's simply bullshit. Because if you're playing a troop deck and you don't have enough direct damage to deal with their weapons each time they pull them out, you're done. You have to perform mental somersaults to win those matchups. Then also competing with Knights on my hate list is Petrurabo, simply because his ability is overtuned. He punishes you if you don't play troops, and he punishes you if you play troops because, I don't know, they have the best direct damage in the game, so his stupid ability and Contador, which is the cheapest 7 damage tactic in the game. And also they have the best board clear, I don't know, it's just super annoying to deal with, simply because it's such a, I don't know, simple-minded playstyle, and the fact that it works pisses me off a bit. Number 3 currently is Lucretia. It's also simply because it's so simple-minded. Just vomit your hand and it's effective. You don't need to think, just vomit your hand, play cards. You're done. If you got the perfect hand, you win. And I don't know, that's not cool. And now with the current expansion, she also got a lot of tools. So the Solar Auxilia faction or tribe, so to say, and also Castrax doing some work. That's currently one Lucretia in top 10, if I see correctly. Yeah, Miss Valerie. She or he, I don't know, maybe it's just a role-playing guy. You never know in video games. I think he's playing Lucretia for the whole month, and he's actually really good with her. He or she is the best Lucretia player I've faced so far. I played Knights for a bit right now, and usually now a direct counter to Lucretia, simply because Last Cutter exists. She managed to play around that really good, and also won me a couple games.
Would you like to do a shout out to any players?
First of all, my team, B-Side und Konstantin Valdor. Bleibt stramm, meine Jungs. Ich liebe euch. Wir machen das schon. Then, of course, Prime Middle High, my favorite opponent. Looking forward to stomping you in the ladder. And then, of course, my favorite lodge members, Terze or Ters, no idea how to pronounce that, and Skafti, and all the other guys as well. And last but not least, Chauvin, Discord mod. My favorite Discord mod. So serious, so mature. You know how to do your job. No sarcasm intended.
Any social media accounts you'd like to share with the audience?
I have a YouTube channel where I upload my World Cup games, and I wasn't able to record them live until now. I just the replays and then commentate on the replays. And on my YouTube channel, there are also deck guides, event gameplay, and I also take community requests. So if people want me to build something like their favorite Warlord and they can't make them work on ladder, I just build a deck and upload it and to give them an idea how to make maybe a bad Warlord a bit competitive.
Well, thank you so much for the interview and best of luck in the rest of the tournament.
Thank you.